I am never going to ask anybody to do something that I'm not willing to do. Welcome to the Set Apart Podcast. Today is our very first episode, not only of the podcast, but also of the Who's John series. And today, to bring this podcast to life, we brought Roby Ramos. Roby is a good friend of mine. He somebody that I grew up with, and he's somebody that really inspires me to be creative. He is an actor. He's an actor on a show on Stars, soon to be hopefully Netflix. Also an actor on HBO. He's a writer of a play called The Walls of Ears, something that really means a lot to me, and from our Cuban heritage, something that we loved watching you and really embracing that culture. And I think you're a perfect person to be on the show on the first episode.
Man, Oscar, dude, you're a modern day David Letterman, dude. That was amazing. I it's an honor, bro, to be able to do this for you, dude, and that you would trust me with this. So I'm gonna try to do my best for you. I have a million questions. Like, I'm super interested in the business as a whole, to see you grow up, from high school when we knew each other to now is really, it's exciting, dude. And it's inspiring, bro. So I think the first question that I want to drop on you is, who is John?
A lot of people ask me, probably almost every day, who's John?
Yeah.
Probably the main reason why the series is called Who's John. And I'm not going to tell you who's John.
Wow.
I'm just going to tell you that that it's not who you think it is, but it's something that not only specifically John, but John Bell is something that, it means a lot to me. And through the actual episodes of this podcast, people are going to really understand who is John and who John Bell really is.
At first, I thought it was like a biblical thing. I think I told you, I was like, is John Bell like a biblical, and then I looked it up and I'm like, no, it's not.
The problem is that John is like everywhere. You have John Deere, you have the book of John, there's so many Johns.
It's iconic.
And then Bell, you have Bell South, you have John and Bell are both words that are very common. So we just wanted a name that was going to sound good, and
it's iconic, dude. It sounds fire. I think something that is interesting to me, because I knew you from, like I said, high school, man. But I don't exactly know your family history. Did your dad have this company and you inherited it, or did you buy this company from somebody after college or something like that? How did that go?
So no, it's we definitely didn't inherit it, and we definitely didn't buy it. We didn't have enough money to buy a company.
You were broke.
Huh?
You were broke.
We were broke. John Bell is something that me and my wife started. It's a made up name, and it's a company that God put in our heart to start, and it's something that that we started. There's no inheritance. There's no mom or dad or my grandparents. We are John Bell. I am John Bell. We are all John Bell in the essence of it. So,
but tell me about that. The start. I want to go back to the very beginning of it. How did that idea come about? When did this thing start for you?
It's hard to kind of say that John Bell started, in February 2016 when John Bell started, because for me, it all started essentially when I was in high school. And I'd always kind of been around my dad and around people that I loved that weren't in construction. Either they were handy or they had some sort of, construction background, and something that I always liked. There's pictures of me 4 or 5 years old holding a paintbrush. There's pictures of me, 5, 6 years old planting trees. There's a picture of me on holding a hammer on a brick. I feel like I've always been in this, But when I was 15 years old, I needed to go to baseball practice. So I had told my dad one day after school, and I told him, Papi, I need to get a car. Like, I need you guys to help me buy a car so I can get to baseball practice, because it's just too much of a mission to get rides and the whole thing. And he says, I'm gonna buy you a Ferrari. And when he told me that, I said, like, no, I don't need a Ferrari.
You're like a Honda Civic will do.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's start there.
And he says, no, I'm gonna get you a Ferrari.
Yeah.
And so the next day I come back from practice again, and there was a pressure cleaner on my bed. And he says, if you pressure clean, enough driveways, enough sidewalks, pool decks, and you start a little business, you can buy whatever car you want, including a Ferrari. And in the next couple of days after that, I remember they gave me like $25, and I made like 1,000 business cards, and I still have the business cards to today. And that's how I started. When in high school, I was pressure cleaning, do seal coating for driveways and pool decks, and anything that I can kind of do like as a handyman. I did that from the time of like I was 15, 16 years old, essentially till I feel like sometimes I still do that, And my love for construction has never like really ended. So as that gets, that's progressing, I start going to college. I start really understanding what I really want to learn. And through different mentors that I know, I started studying construction management. And then when I started studying construction management, I started working for, for a construction company. And that's when I really started to really understand, like, this is not like about pressure cleaning sidewalks or being a handyman or, renovating a bathroom. Like this is a complex, industry with a lot of details. And this is something that, I love to do. So I started as an intern at a company called Suffolk Construction.
At this point, you're still at school in college.
Yeah. So I was essentially taking, I was full-time student, a full-time, intern employee at the company I was working for. And what was a challenge there was that I needed to graduate at a certain point for them to hire me full time, because I needed to graduate in 2013 fall for them to hire me full time. But I was scheduled to graduate, 2 semesters after that. So they said, hey, I need you to be able to either graduate, early, or we're gonna have to hire somebody else. And I had already been there for like a year and a half. Like, this is my whole life. Like I had to make it happen. So I went to my advisor at FIU and I told him, hey, this is the situation. Through your career fair, I have landed an internship, and these people are willing to give me a full-time job. I need to graduate fall 2013. They said, hey, it's impossible. You ain't gonna do it. So that was like a professor that was like helping you with with your classes. So he's like, the only one that would allow this to happen is talking to the, to the chair or to the dean. So I went to the dean and I told him, look, this is what's happening. And he's saying, look, it's impossible. Like, essentially for you to take these classes at the same time, like you need this class to be able to know how to take that class. And I said, no, it doesn't, like, I need you to approve it. Long story short, he approves it. I get straight A's and I graduate on time. And then
but wait. Then, I mean, he approves it. Like, he's just like,
he says,
you're
if you
just
want,
persistent.
He says, if you feel like you can do it, then do it. And I did it.
Wait.
And that was a big thing for me.
Yeah. So what is your drive at that point? Like, where's your drive coming from? Because a lot of people,
the company I worked for.
Okay.
And I wanted to work there. I didn't want to lose that opportunity. Even interviewing with them, I had already interviewed with like 6 or 7 other people, and nobody wanted to hire me. I didn't have enough experience. They're the only ones that said, hey, I know you don't have experience, but there's something that we like about you.
They took a shot
at me. They took a shot at me, and I didn't want to lose that opportunity. I loved my boss. I loved the people I worked with. Like, I was very committed to them. So I was willing to do anything that I did, that I could for them.
Here's a question for you. Like, at that time, do you have a vision of like basically what you're doing now, or at that time you're just trying to like work in a company? You're not really necessarily thinking 10 steps ahead of like, eventually I'm going to have my own construction company.
That's a good question. No, I was not worried about that. I never went there thinking, oh, I want to learn as much as I could to start my own company. No, that was never in the thought process. I had already started like the handyman business, but I had already like stopped that, and I was fully focused and committed to school and to this company. And I was there for almost 4 years, close to 5 years on that job. That's how big the job was and how long the job was. So as the job was coming to an end, I had just gotten married to my wife Isabella, and we were about to go to the next job, and that's where like it, that was my plan forward, was we're gonna go to the next job, and the job coincidentally was across the street to build for the same client, and I started getting like an itch. It's the only way I can kind of put it, and this itch was because people were calling me, and people were saying, "Hey, I know you used to do this, but can you do this? Hey, do you know anybody that can help me finish the job because I hired somebody and and they took my deposit? Hey, do you know anybody that can do an addition to my house?" I've always been for people around me, like the construction guy. Like if you have an issue with construction, I hope that I'd be the first person that.
Now, but back then too.
Yeah, back then too. Yeah, like I was just because you don't really know a lot of construction people in your around you, and I was. Again, like, since I was a little kid, like always around that. And
But hold on. Oh. Was your dad in that?
No, my dad wasn't. My dad's a jeweler.
What?
And my mom's a teacher.
This was completely like out of left field that you take this up as a career. No?
Yeah. The biggest thing is my dad was always very handy. So we used to do like, decks in the backyard and a fence. Like my dad's very, very handy. And I feel that my dad would have probably made an incredible architect or engineer if he had the opportunity to do so. The problem is he came here through Peter Pan as a kid, became an orphan.
From Cuba.
Lived as an orphan, through essentially the most important, years of his life from like 10 to 15. He ended up having to quit school, get a job, and start working and making money.
Yeah.
So he really didn't have the opportunity to go to school, and he also didn't. He didn't speak English, so it was very difficult for him. But if he had the opportunity, he would have done it because he's a very creative person and he's very detailed. And what he does as a jeweler, it simplifies that. Like he makes everything by hand. He's essentially like a blacksmith. He's incredible what he does. So I've always I was already about that, but. At the end of that job, and I was getting this itch, I was telling my wife, I said, hey, we have the opportunity to go to another job, but I kind of feel that maybe we should open a company. And I feel that this is something that we should really pray about, and I think that we should really consider, because at the end of the day, we weren't really making that much money. So I said, I can make this much money. Like I used to say, like I can make this much money selling mangoes. Like I can wash cars and make this money. And at that point, I really had this like where it's not freedom that I wanted, but I knew that we can do things for a lot. We do things well, and there's a big need. That was the biggest thing. And I felt that need. Like people were like essentially calling me, hey, I need so I knew there was a need. Which I feel like in any business that you're starting, you should always try to fill a need, not a void. Because sometimes people do things for a void in them rather than a need that there is in an industry. At the end of the day, that's the most important thing.
Yeah, what's the demand for what you have to offer? So
for a few weeks, we start contemplating if we should do this, So I said, well, if I'm going to start this company, I need a GC license. At that point, I had a degree in construction management. But when you graduate with a degree in construction management, you don't automatically graduate with a license as a GC, as a general contractor. So I started studying for this license. And at that point, we were thinking about a name. We didn't have a name yet. And we were still praying about it. And I started studying to take the test. It's a 3-part exam. So I essentially passed the first 2. We're on to the third one. When I was already on that, like to take the third one,
yeah,
I had already like a real clear calling that God was calling us to do this. And that's a whole separate story on how that happened. But I really felt that this is exactly what we need to do. And God was calling us to do it. And I felt like I needed to really be obedient at that point. And I was okay with not opening the company. Like we were praying about it for a long time, and I was willing to do whatever it took because I feel that sometimes we do things that God doesn't want you to do, and I didn't want that to happen.
If I can ask you, bro, how do you differentiate that? Like, How do you differentiate from what Oscar wants and from what God wants?
I feel that a lot of it has to do, there's a verse in the Bible that says, you got to be quiet so you can hear the whispers of the Lord, and sometimes like God wants to talk to you, but there's so much noise happening, and there's so much noise you're putting in your own mind, and people are putting in your own head, and you're asking so many people for advice, and then like you get like so like cluttered. And I was just really, really, really focusing and meditating and really trying, and it sounds like, I don't know how it sounds to you or to people, but I was just trying to hear him like whispering into my ear, like, and really, because when God calls you to do something, and when you have like a sense of like purpose and calling, like it's clear as day, like it's undescribable. And somebody that's already gone through that, they can say, no, I felt that, So sometimes you have to almost feel it to understand it, but through prayer, and through conviction and discernment, you can, hopefully identify what you need to do. And sometimes that might be temporary, and that might lead to a closed door. But you cannot allow that closed door to like discourage you. And a very similar instance happens so I take the third exam. I had already written the letter of recommendation. I took the test on a Thursday. I was gonna resign on a Friday. I take the test and they give you your scores immediately, and I failed the exam. And that was really tough for me, and because I already felt like this is something that we're gonna do. Like, so why if I'm listening to the whispers of my heart and I'm doing all this and I'm so convinced that this is what we need to do, like, how are we failing a test?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, well, if God loves me so much, like, why do I have cancer? Like, hey, if God loves me so much, like, why am I going through this? Like sometimes you doubt God.
You doubt it, yeah.
And at that moment, I was very disappointed in the car, but after like getting past, then like that.
The initial disappointment.
The initial disappointment. I told my wife, I said, hey, I'm still gonna put my resignation in, because I felt like that's what I needed to do. I felt like this is what we're gonna do. Like if I don't get the license today, it's gonna be in 2 weeks. And if I have to work at, I don't know, selling mangoes or pressure cleaning or whatever it is, like I'm willing to do it, whatever it takes for my family, because I really believe so much in this company that we didn't even have a name for.
That's a massive risk. I mean, like that's.
And we had just got married, which is a big thing,
Yeah, exactly. That's the first risk, I think.
Yeah, we had just got married. I had, we had no money. We had about $2,000 in the bank. Our rent was $1,250. So, but I wasn't worried about the money. I wasn't worried. I knew that we were gonna do this. I knew that between me and my wife, like we were gonna make it happen. And
what did she tell you when you told her like I'm still gonna resign?
She's been an incredible support, like from day one. And I don't know, I can't remember what she told me specifically, but I know that she never told me, hey, I think you should reconsider this. She's never told me that. If anything, I think she'll help me put the letter in the mail. So she was extremely encouraging, and she felt like, hey, if this is something that you as our leader in this house feel that is the best thing for us, then I think you need to do it.
Right.
So I give the letter of resignation. That was on a Friday. I go to the president of the company. His name is Jeff Gouveia, which ironically his dad had hired me, and now he's the son, and I'm resigning to him. And I remember crying in that office with my boss, and I had walked to his, because our job site was coincidentally close to his office, and I was so broken at that moment, because I was saying bye to somebody I didn't want to say bye to. Like I loved working there. Like I miss still sometimes working there, because of the camaraderie, like in the culture, and we were doing something great. We had an incredible team, and I met some people that I love to this day there. But I felt like I wanted to be there, but I know I couldn't be there anymore, because there was just somewhere else that I needed to go.
Yeah, your heart wasn't there anymore. It wasn't in that.
Yeah, it wasn't there. So
but and how did he react like when you told him that?
Well, he told me like, hey, don't throw away your uniform, and keep it. And if it doesn't work out, just call me, and we'll put you on a job, and you have a job here the next day. So that was really encouraging from him.
Yeah.
Because it's honesty. And then when I told my wife that like also kind of calmed her down, and us down. So I resigned, and it was like kind of like a big shock with everybody, because even like my family and my friends, like what are you doing, quitting your job? Like, this is essentially, you went to school, you got the career, like you're doing great. They had like, I was really at the top of, like, as high as I could at that point. Again, I'm only 25 years old.
Yeah.
I'm a kid, you know. I still live with my parents.
And you're like, let's say that you look down that trajectory of what would have been Oscar had he stayed in that company. Like, there was a way to scale what you were doing. Like, you eventually would have been making more money there. You eventually would have had let's say a good life there. No, or did you not see that? You didn't envision that with them.
No, I could definitely. I know that if I would have stayed there, I would have developed. I would have continued to grow. I would have made more money. But it wasn't really about that. It was about that there was a need out there, and I really felt that, like, we were really called to do this, and that we're like set apart for this. And that's how Set Apart came, you know, because there was all these things that was drawing me to not start the company, including people telling me not to do it. You know, I had told my wife the other day, I said, I would say I probably asked, like, say 20 people to partner with me, and everybody said no. You know, I'm asking people to, hey, be my business. There's other people who can own John Bell Construction right now, and they don't, because they didn't believe in me when I told them that we should do this. And like, at that moment, it was hard, because I was asking people for advice, and I was trying to go to different mentors, and I was trying to, like, I didn't know what I was doing, you know, but I know I still had to do it. So, long story short, that I resigned on Friday. Monday comes around, and I get a missed call from some unknown number. I didn't answer. They call me again. I didn't answer. And on the third time, I answer, and they said, hey, this is the Department of Business and Professional Regulation in the state of Florida. You know, I need to speak with Oscar Morejon. And I go, no, yeah, that's me. How can I help you? And I already had, like, a feeling about it. Like, I can't explain it. Like, I almost felt like that was already going to happen. It's really hard to explain, but when that person called me, and we talked about this before, and I hadn't told you about that, but when she told me who she was, I knew that it wasn't something bad. Well, first of all, I don't think she's going to call you to say, I already failed the test. What's she going to tell me? You failed,
man. Remember that?
Yeah, she's not going to tell me that. Yeah. So, long story short, she said, hey, you actually passed, and you actually passed your exam. And there was an issue with your Scantron, the way it was fed. We rescanned the Scantron, and you passed the exam. And I remember, like, at that moment, I knew again that this is exactly what we're going to do. And I told her, hey, did you by any chance do this for anybody else? Like, because in that, when you take those exams, there's like literally there's thousands of people, and there's like Home Depot tables and chairs, like miles long. It's crazy how big these things are. And my buddy had also gone with me, and he failed. And I go, hey, by any chance that this so and so passes? No, this only happened to you.
Oh, wow.
And
this is a film, dude. It's like a film moment.
Yeah, it is a little bit of a film.
It's a film moment, dude.
And I felt so relieved, you know. And those 2 weeks, I tried to do everything that I could, you know, with the company, and, you know, tightening up the loose ends. And I had already kind of gone to the end of the job. That's another thing. I didn't want to leave the job, you know, without being done. We had already got in TCO, and we're already out, almost, essentially. So those last 2 weeks were really emotional. I cried a lot. I was excited, but I was also very sad. I was super depressed, and my wife saw me crying, you know, for 2 weeks essentially. And
but you were depressed about leaving the job. You were anxious, maybe.
I wasn't anxious. I was just it was a lot, man. Like, I had nobody helping me. Like now we have a whole team here. You know, we have a whole company. I didn't have any of that. It was just me and my wife. We didn't have, at that point, we had already solidified that the company was going to be called John Bell, and we had a logo. That's it. We didn't have any cards. We didn't have a website. We didn't have an office. We didn't have any employees. We didn't have any work. We had no money. We had nothing. So it's like, it was a time that, like, it was one of the most difficult times of my life, because I knew what I knew what John Bell could be, but I also knew everything that I was gonna have to like endure, which I really never knew how hard this was gonna be. But I knew that we were essentially going to war, and it was like almost hyping myself up for those 2 weeks. The Sunday before I start, like that's it. Like I resigned that Friday. Saturday we were doing whatever, and then I was getting like I don't even know what I was doing. But Sunday we went to the mall, went to Bass Pro Shops. And I remember that I needed to buy like a shirt, you know, like I didn't even have a uniform, you know, and like I wanted people to like to see the name, and so I went and I couldn't even afford the Columbia shirt, which was like $65, and I bought a Bass Pro Shop redhead shirt, which was like half the price. That fits terribly, super uncomfortable. And then I went to the kiosk that does logos, like engraves the logos, and they put it, and we can only afford one shirt. So here it is, Monday morning, nice and bright and early, and I come out of bed, I get dressed, I put on the the shirt that I bought, and I have the picture of me holding up the shirt at Duff at the kiosk, and my wife's like, so where are you gonna go? I said, I don't know. I'm gonna go knock on doors. Like I'm gonna go find work. Like, and she plays this video for me, and essentially it was like my whole family they had recorded themselves saying, hey, like I wish you the best of luck. Like we're praying for you. And I remember like in tears, sitting on the couch watching this video, like essentially about like this hype video before like essentially going to the Super Bowl, you know, to the World Series Game 7.
Yeah.
And there was just so many people at that point supporting me for that I felt so fortunate. But I had also for the few weeks before and the months before, I had also been super discouraged because I also felt like nobody was really supporting me. You know, nobody really believed in me. And it's hard to believe in something that you don't really see, you know, that you really know. That's something that you're like, I can understand why those people weren't as supportive as I wish they were. And looking back at it, it's fine the way that happened the way it happened, because it just motivated me and my wife even further to like not only prove them wrong, but you know, to show people that, you know, that what I said I was gonna do, I'm gonna do. And I started knocking on doors.
Wait. I want to know. So you step out that day. What's the plan? Like literally, your plan is to knock on doors.
The plan was to try to make money to pay the rent.
Yeah, but you had no leads at all.
Zero
leads.
Nothing.
So Oscar goes outside.
Yeah.
Right? Because
I got in my car.
These are very like, because people don't understand that shit. Like it's very.
It sounds crazy.
Yeah. So you went outside.
There's
you get
no
in
work.
Your car.
No.
You go where?
I got in my car and I started driving. And
okay.
I started. I lived in Miami Lakes, so I was going to like I said, well, I'm gonna start in this area because it's the best. So I started knocking on like property management companies, and I said, hey, you know, do you need anything? So then I was just going to literally any business or any person that I think that can give me work, and I was just giving them my business card, introducing myself, and then I would just going through my phone, and I'd go start at A, and I'd call every single person on my phone. Hey, you know, this is what I'm doing. I started a company. If you need anything, and just.
But what's your pitch at that point? Like, because you're not like, oh, I can do your construction, no? Or you are? You're saying I could do your construction,
I can do anything,
but I can also cut your grass. Like, what's going on? What are you offering literally to people when you're making those calls in the beginning?
Well, I never wanted, you know, at the end of the day, I think we had a lot to offer, even when we had nothing. You know, we always provide. We can always provide, you know, our core values that me and my wife had already created, which was to be set apart, to do things with pride, to do things with excellence, and to do them as a team. Ironically, we didn't have a team. Right.
So very literally, you mean that you're going to do everything with pride, that you're going to do everything to the most that you can do it, as excellent as you can do it, that you're going to hire the right people.
Yeah. But we weren't saying like, hey, I'm willing to, because I didn't want to downplay it either. You know, a lot of people say, no, like we were saying, oh, I'll cut your grass. Like, I know my value and I know what we can do.
So from the gate, you were like,
hey, we have a construction company. There's no job too big, too small, and this is something that we want to do. And look, hold on. I'm gonna read you. I was actually I don't even know how I even found this this text. Let me see if I can find it here. Hopefully I can. If not, we're gonna have to edit this whole section out. I don't know where it was, but I had texted some lady and I told her, hey, I had started a construction company and I just want you to know that that literally anything that you want us to do, there's no job too big or too small that you can hire for that we can't do. And so the first job that we did was ironically changing out an air conditioning unit. Obviously, I'm no AC guy, but I'm a general contractor. So they said, hey, do you know any like guy that does ACs? And I go, yeah, of course. I didn't know anybody, by the way. I Google, air conditioning mechanic repair, and I'm in Coral Gables, because that's where it was. I called a couple of people, I got a couple of prices, and they did it. They did a great job. They're still working with us today, ironically. And then
when you do that deal, like you upsell it a little bit for
bringing in
the client.
Okay. Yeah, mark it up.
So then you made a little bit of dough from that. Like
I made like $500.
Crazy. Okay.
And
by the way, already that's a hustle, man. Like
that was on the first day.
Yeah. Wow.
And then some other guy had another opportunity for me.
So day one, you made $500. You felt pretty good about it, or what?
Yeah, I felt pretty good.
You did, right?
I tell you, I was never worried. It was just a lot, And then one job led to another, and it was like, hey, can you put a partition in my office? Hey, can you maybe renovate my bathroom? Hey, can you renovate my kitchen? Hey, can you do an addition? And then, hey, can you do the addition? Hey, can you build me a new house? And then go.
And for all of this, like you're hiring people to do the job, or some of these things you're doing yourself as a handyman that you were before. And
so I would say I resigned in April. So from April to about mid-July, I was doing all the work. So I'd go to the job, I'd do all the demolition, I was framing it, I would go to Home Depot, buy the material, pour the concrete. I'd go to, I'd plaster it, I'd paint it, I'd sand it, whatever I had to do, I was physically doing it.
Oh, you did them, okay.
So then what was happening is, like, let's say you call me and you say, hey, I want to, renovate my kitchen. Like, hold on, this is a big job.
Okay.
But I'm out here like renovating, like demoing a bathroom. So I had to go home, take a shower, put on my like jacket, go meet you and your wife, give you a price, in the car, take off my nice clothes, put my working clothes back on, finish the construction that I was doing, and then at night work on the estimate and all that, send it to them, and then that's how I was doing. Fortunately, we ended up hiring our first employee, which is going to be on the podcast on the 5th episode, and this guy, his name is Iram, and he essentially becomes he's our first employee.
How do you hire him?
Well, I had known him for a long time. When I had the whole pressure cleaning thing and the whole handyman business, he was somebody that I would sometimes like hire like as a day job or to help me do the job, and he had already been with me for a long time, and I didn't have enough work to like kind of maintain him, and we had already gone through a lot. There's a lot of history between me and him in terms of construction, so we had worked well, and I knew that he was somebody that I can always trust. My eyes closed. So I ended up, I just couldn't do it. It wasn't sustainable being able to physically do all that stuff. And at the end of the day, I'm not that I'm not good at it, but I know that there's people who are better at that than and that's not what I wanted to do. I wasn't going to be able to grow the company if I'm physically doing the work, But at that point, I couldn't pay anybody to do it. I had to continue just to make as much money as I could, so that me and my wife, didn't have to lose our apartment. So I ended up hiring him for a couple of days, and at the end of those couple of days, because he was working at a company, but he couldn't work coincidentally for those couple of days. And I told him in Spanish, I said, "Man, it would be amazing if I can hire you. Like, man, like this will change my life, because I really realized, man, this is exactly what I need, So at the end of the day, I give him his check. He goes home, and like around 8 or 9 o'clock at night that day, he calls me and he says, "Hey, where are we going tomorrow?" And like, remember when I told you about like, I already knew that this can't be a bad call, but when the state called me for that, I was like, this can't be a good call. And he told me, "Oh, where are we going?" And I go, no, like I told you, I don't have any work. Like I didn't have work every single day. Sometimes there was like a gap.
Yeah.
And I go, no, there's no more work. And he goes, "Oh, that's not good. I resigned. I quit my job. I thought you said that we had work." I said, "No, bro. I told you that if I had enough work that this would be good, not for you to quit." "Oh man, I'm sorry. I misunderstood." And that was another time that my heart sank, and that was very difficult. And I was with my wife, and I told her what's happening. I pulled over to the gas station where I was, and that was really difficult for me because I wasn't ready to. I didn't think I was ready to hire my first employee, because to start a business, like to hire your first employee is it's like a massive deal.
Yeah.
Because now you're just going from doing the construction thing to now like maybe essentially running a business, and that I don't consider it like my strong suit, in terms of like leadership of running a business. Just my strong suit is construction, and that's what I'm best at. And I told him, listen, I don't know if you know what faith is, but you're gonna know what it is now. So go to the house again. There's extra paint, and paint the house again. We're actually painting a house. Again, this is 4 months later. Now we're still painting houses. So it's like we're not like building the Taj Mahal yet. Like we're like grinding here. We're painting like.
But wait, what do you mean go to the house again and paint it again?
I told him because I
that
had
same job that you guys had done for 2 days. Is that what you're talking about?
we were done. I told him we'll go back and paint it then. He quit his job.
Right.
And if you're gonna be so committed to me, after nobody's been committed to me,
Yeah.
and go back and paint the house, do it again. And I told him, listen, there's only one caveat to this. That if you work with me, I'm done working like physically. I'm done painting, I'm done demoing, I'm done all that. You're gonna work physically, and I'm gonna go find us work. And I promise you, I will find us work. But it's very hard to do both. And we made a deal, and he was doing the work from now on. And then we really started like to really grow, because now instead of waking up and putting on boots, I was waking up and putting nice shoes and nicer clothes, and I was just selling. And I was
doing that thing you were doing at the beginning of going door to door,
exactly,
business to business.
And I remember even on the first day, I was able to thankfully find work. But the problem is that in this industry is very cyclical. It goes up and it goes down. So you get the work, you get super busy, and then you stop estimating work, and then it goes down. There's no repeat clients in our business, so you have to constantly be selling. You can never stop selling because you don't know when there's going to be a drop off. So at the end of the day, the company started growing a lot. At least for me, we started getting bigger jobs, more profitable jobs. But there was still something that was like massively lacking. And it was like kind of the organization of our finances, the organization in the office, an office,
Yeah, right.
So the same kind of like thing I was doing before about trying to find a business partner, because I always knew that I wanted a business partner. The people that say, oh, you're self-made, that's all BS. At the end of the day, that core value of teamwork was there for a reason, and we weren't a team yet other than me and Iram and my wife. So I started thinking about it, and Albert Foz, my business partner now, he was doing something similar, that he was flipping houses with somebody. So he's an accountant, essentially. He studied accounting, he has a master's in accounting, and he was working for an accounting firm. So he essentially knew all the things that I needed, and he starts flipping houses, and everything that he doesn't know, I know. So we make a deal, and I told him, man, if you can start, helping me with like QuickBooks and bookkeeping, helping me in the office, maybe we could start actually partnering up together. And when he started, it really gave me even more peace of mind, because now we're really creating a team, somebody that I know as my best friend growing up. That I knew he was going to take care of us, and he was somebody that was never going to steal from us or steal from me. And at that point,
did you have to really sell him on it, or?
Yeah, I did actually, because we had already done I remember it was like 6 or 7 projects together before he ends up resigning. And I remember one day I told him, I resigned when we had no work. Here we are, 7 jobs in. Dude, what are you waiting for? Like, it's not fair that I'm out here all day killing myself, and you're working, for somebody else. Like, you're double dipping.
Right.
And it wasn't that he was, not confident in me. I think he was just to resign and to quit your job.
It's massive, dude.
It's a big decision, and
it's a big commitment, man.
And I kept encouraging him, and he finally did it. And when he did it, continued to make us better. And that's what our story is constant, is always been about, it's about constant growth. We're always getting better. Do we have like our things that we have setbacks? Like, it's like anything in life, even relationships and anything in your career. But we've always tried to get better. And, we're not trying to compete against the biggest company in the world. Like, I don't really care about that. I just want us to continually get better, be the best that we can be.
Did you feel added pressure when Foz says, I'm coming on board too?
No.
No?
No, because at that point,
you were making money already, right?
Yeah, we
Together.
had the company had already had momentum. He comes in like, I started a company I started a company in February. I resigned in April. He came like, I don't know, like October, November, and Iram had come in July. So I had already been on my own for like 9 months, So I was like, to me, it was, I'm going to do this with or without you, like, I'd rather be with you.
Yeah.
But the company had already had momentum. I think, if anything, I felt more at peace. I felt even stronger. I felt like, hey, what we set out to do a year ago, like now we're really starting to get traction, and everything that we kind of dreamed about is kind of like happening. Like, we're building that team, we're building that culture, and me and him, we still make an incredible team.
Yeah.
And we were having a lot of fun doing it because essentially he's my best friend,
Right. And what were like the hard challenges that you faced that you didn't see coming, right? That you didn't learn in school, that like, what are those challenges of running a company, and especially probably at that time, like what are those challenges? What were they?
Well, one of the biggest things that happened for me is that, and I didn't think about this, but as one of the jobs that I was doing, I didn't do a good job at one of the things that we were doing. So just from lack of experience, trying to maybe cut corners, whatever it was, and I had to essentially redo some of the work, and I didn't have enough money to redo the work, and that was a very, very difficult time in my life, because when you hire John Bell and you hire Oscar and you hire our team, like, we're never gonna let you down, and if we make a mistake, we're gonna fix it. Like, you're never gonna ever have to worry about us walking away or not, like, doing what we said we were gonna do. And at that first time, where everything was like, it was tough. It was very difficult at that time, but there was like momentum,
Yeah.
We really didn't have like a major setback at that point, and I didn't know how I was gonna overcome that. That's when really I learned, like, hey, we need to like have money, like savings, like it's not like I make $1,000 and I take $1,000 out. Like, the company itself is a person that is very greedy. This company deserves a lot. Not only do our projects deserve a lot, but the company deserves a lot. Everything that the company makes, I don't take out. Like, we continue to invest into the company and continue to pour back into the company. And at that point, I hadn't done that. So that was really difficult for me. The day that Iram, quit his job, and he felt that I had hired him, that was extremely difficult for me, because that day I was worried, because I didn't think that, it was hard enough for me to feed me and Isabella, but now I'm feeding him and his wife and his daughter.
Yeah, that's insane.
So that was a big burden for me, but that burden essentially motivated me to kind of grind harder, and it really propelled our company.
In that specific hole, I'm calling it a hole, but that setback that you had with that one job where you don't have money in the savings, like, how are you going to get out? How did you get out of that?
So I ended up talking to the sub that did the work, and I had gotten another job coincidentally around the same time, and all the money that I was going to make on the other job, I had to use it to pay this guy, and then he kind of paid his portion as well, but I still didn't have the money to do it. So I found another job, and all the money that we had, so like everything. So let's say it's hard to like really think about, and to me it's kind of crazy, but if we only have $2 or $3 grand in the bank, and it costs 10 grand to do this, like that's the situation we're in. So I got another job that was going to make us a profit of 6 or 7 grand. I got all that money and all of our savings account, and I finished the job. And now we're essentially like 4 or 5 months in, We have less money than when we started. It's been like that the whole way.
Has it, dude?
Yeah, it has. That
Even now, though?
Yeah, even now.
Wow.
And I feel like anybody that owns a company realizes we're only 8 years in.
Yeah.
We're very, I still consider us very young, and there's a lot of things that happen that are difficult. Like when COVID happened, that was another one. Like we didn't know how to react. Like here we are, 30-year-olds running a company with 50, 60, 70. At that point, we almost had like 100 employees at that time.
Oh, really?
Like most of the people are here older than us, So that was very, very difficult, the whole COVID thing.
Have many do you have now?
We have about like 40 right now.
So you've minimized the amount of
Yeah, because we have another portion of our business that that actually self-performs work. So as we have work, it's on the masonry side. We're masons. So we're general contractors and we're also masons. Masons are the people who put the blocks, like the cinder blocks. So when we have a lot of work, we have to hire people and then we do it. But if the jobs are coming down, and unfortunately you have to lay them off, and and then we'll just, we get their number, and when the job starts again, we'll hire them back up. So on that side, the labor goes up and down.
Got it.
But that's why that fluctuates.
Got it. So COVID happens. I'm assuming that's a massive challenge.
COVID, the most difficult thing for us in COVID was honestly the same thing with everybody else. Was one that, when our employees were like getting sick, we didn't know, like, should we tell people, like, should we send everybody home?
Yeah.
Like that was crazy.
Yeah.
That, like, everybody was like paranoid, like. We're getting employees and they don't know if they should even go home or go to a hotel or motel.
Right. So you have health things that you're worried about, safety things that you're worried about. But then I'm assuming, and I know because of just being a person who lived through that, the added anxiety of like, dude, is this industry gone? Like, how are we going to?
Oh, so that was
like, did you fear you were going to lose the business? At any point?
No, I never thought we were going to lose the business. But I did think that we were going to I thought we were going to get slow. So me, like a lot of other people, thought that the market was going to like crash a little bit.
Yeah.
And what happened with the market? The market blew up.
Right. It's weird.
So everybody thought that,
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
everything was going to go down and this and the other. What happened? Freaking prices were skyrocketed. Demand went through the roof. Prices went up. But before prices went up, I remember it was like February, March of 2020, and and we're already working at home. Everybody was working at home already. So we're paying rent at an office that we're not even using, like everybody else. And I said, hey, we got to start, like, now that we're not even at the office, like, we got to start estimating. We ended up landing like, I don't know, like 6 or 7 jobs, like within a month or 2 months span.
Yeah.
Because those jobs, like, they were still going to go. Little did we know that those jobs that we landed, the prices were going to skyrocket and that our contracts were holding us to the same price. And now the 2x4 didn't cost $2. It cost, at one point, a 2x4 cost like $20. A sheet of plywood that used to cost $16, $17 was costing like $90, $100.
Yeah.
And if you can get them. So now we got all this work thinking that the world that was going to collapse. We get so busy and prices skyrocket and we start losing money. So that was a big challenge for our team, and especially me and Foz, because we didn't fire or let go one employee at that time. If anything, we were hiring employees because remember, we got busy, so we had to start hiring employees. And it was just a big time, for us to, it was a big time in our company, but we got through it, and it's the only year that we really didn't have like, financial growth.
Yeah.
But we had a lot of like horizontal growth in the sense of, hey, we got better, we became better leaders, better everything. Like, and on top of that, I spent 7 months at home with my wife. So that was, that time was very difficult for a lot of people. But for us, I'm very thankful for that time because we're a much better company. We're much better leaders, fathers, everything you can imagine, because of that time.
How did having a kid change your life and your career?
I can't imagine my life without Jack, my son. And it was, the game was already hard, and then it got even like harder. But at that point, you know, I hardly had energy to do the things that I was doing. And I definitely now didn't have the energy to be a dad and to like get on your knees and play with him. And, you know, at that point I was like almost 40 pounds lighter than I am right now, you know? And I realized like, if I don't really physically improve my body, I'm not going to be able to be the dad that he needs me to be. So one of the best things that happened when Jack was born is that I started working out again. I started, you know, eating better, started not eating, you know, junk food, and really focusing on my health and really trying to get the energy that I need to be able to do everything that I was doing, everything that I need to do and still be a dad. But I love being a dad. You know, it's hard because I have to like kind of separate being, you know, the president of John Bell, and then when I go home, I can't be that guy. So that's something that was another big learning curve that me and my wife and Jack, like we all had to go through. And it's been a constant battle that my wife has like really helped me through in terms of when I get home, how we can kind of disconnect a little bit. I don't disconnect fully. For me, it's hard to not think about this company, but there's ways that you can suppress it and be as present as you possibly can, because the last thing I want to do is for Jack to be 20 years old and then he not know who his dad was, you know? So it's been an incredible blessing to have him. And I love walking the job sites with him and teaching him. And, you know, me and Isabella take a lot of pride in being his parents.
It's beautiful, dude. It's beautiful to see that, like that you bring him to the job sites and you do all those things with him. It's like, it's nice to see when you did.
But I fear because they say like tough times create strong men, and then, you know, weak times create weak men. And then they'll say like, you know, the first generation like creates the wealth, and then the second one loses it. So that's something that I really don't know what I'm doing in that sense, because I wanna love him and spoil him and give him the things that I didn't have, but at the same time I am the way I am because my dad bought me a pressure cleaner, you know, and he told me, hey, I'm not gonna buy you the car and you're gonna work for it. So trying to find a happy medium in the situation where I can give him the things that he needs while also learning him, you know, for allowing him to learn how to appreciate it is probably the most difficult thing that I go through as a father.
Yeah, but I don't have any doubts, man, because he's going to work with you. He's seeing how hard you work and like how you deal with your workload, which is insane. Where do you see the company going? Like, do you have a goal for the company? What does that look like?
I want the company to continue to do from the first day that we set ourselves apart to do this. I always wanted the company to just get better, you know.
Yeah.
That to me is the number one thing, that we're getting better, you know, and that we're not just staying where we're at, but we're continually evolving. Like, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. And I really believe that because this is a very competitive industry. This is a very fast-paced city. There's a lot of things happening. And at the same time, you can't be in the position where you're like trying to reach. You know, I don't want to be known as the reacher. You know, we just want to be known as people who do good work. You know, they do what they say they're going to do. They show up on time. They provide good value, and they're always there. And you can always trust them. That to me is the number one thing. I think that you can, because if we continue to grow, and if it's just about money and it's just about the jobs and the whatever it is, and you lose the sense of like client service and teamwork and excellence and pride, then this company doesn't deserve to exist. So as long as we're getting better and we're providing good service, I would want this company to grow as much as possible, to the extent where I can still be the husband that I need to be, and I can be the dad that I need to be, and I can be the friend that I need to be. That to me is more important. Like, there's so many people who they're millionaires, you know, or billionaires. They don't have their wife and they don't have their kids, you know. And yeah, they're super successful, but, you know, they're sharing it with a bunch of people that at the end of the day, they don't really care about them. And I don't want to be that guy. So it's something where the same way that we were praying about, hey, should we start this company? It's the same way that we're constantly like like asking God, like, hey, is this, we got this opportunity, should we take it? You know, this is the job that, this has happened, should we take it? This is an employee that we need, should we hire them? This is an employee that maybe we need to fire them. And whatever it is, just really not to lose focus, and not to get stuck in the minutia, and really always be like, like in your heart, but also where your mind and your heart are working together, and you're like understanding what it is that we need to do. And I just want us to be a company that's known for good work and good people. So as long as we're doing that, I want us to continue to grow. I think that there's a massive opportunity in this city for good GCs. I think we provide an incredible service, man. If people only understood the service that they're going to get when they hire us, the sell will be so much faster, so much easier. We're here to help them. We're here to serve them. Like, you're never going to go bad. You're never going to go wrong hiring us. So that to me is the most important.
But 40 years, man. Give me what are we seeing? Where's Oscar living? Where the kids are growing up, they're coming over the crib.
Me, when I'm 75 years old?
Yeah, bro. Like, you're at the end of this job. Like, you're not running the day-to-day. Go ahead. What is it, man? Are we on a yacht? I want to know how big the vision is, bro.
I hope that at that, and this is not BS. I hope that I'm not on the yacht, bro. I hope that I have a yacht, but I hope that I'm not on the yacht.
Okay.
I hope that I'm out there with my grandkids and walking the jobs. And
you still want to be?
Yeah, man. I feel like I love doing this, man. Like, I don't do this for money. I don't do this for anything other than the love of construction and what we're doing. Like, this is what I was born to do. Like, so I wasn't born to, vacation, and I wasn't born to be on a yacht. And no, bro, I'm born to do this. I want to do other things and maybe have an easier life and have a little bit more work-life balance. Absolutely. I think that what we're doing right now is a little bit unsustainable, but I want to be in this. Like, this is like we are working on trying to create a legacy here at John Bell. We're not trying to put money in our pockets. We're not just a quick buck. We're not a one-man show. Like, we are trying to create a legacy, a dynasty. We're trying to create something where when we are not here, that they say, like, man, today we lost an incredible person. Like Miami is not the same without that guy. So to do that, you ain't gonna do that on a yacht, bro. Like, so maybe our goals can change. Maybe the way we serve can change. There's a lot of people that they start like using the resources that God has given them to bless others. Is something that we love to do. We have the John Bell Foundation that, we essentially do that. We use the gifts that we have to bless others. So there's a lot to do. I just hope that we continue to be humbled, and that we continue to be happy, and we continue to seek Christ in everything that we do. I hope that I'm still married to my wife, and that we can look back and be proud of everything that we've done.
So up to this point, what do you feel has been the greatest accomplishment that you've had?
Well, these are tough questions.
Come on, dog. This is what you wanted.
It's not really what I wanted. I feel like
Charlie Rose over here.
Well, in 2023, we won the AIA General Contractor of the Year award. So it's the American Institute of Architects. It's the most renowned architectural association in the United States. The Miami chapter nominated us and awarded us the General Contractor of the Year, and we went up against incredible people. So that's one of them. That's something that we take a lot of pride in, because there's a lot of competition there. And I think it was for the first time in their company history that we were able to get a little bit of recognition of everything that we've done. And on that night, Pinecrest Gardens, when they called up our name and they gave us the award, it closed the first chapter of who John Bell was and is, from the guy at Bass Pro Shops with his wife getting a shirt with an embroidery on. That chapter ended that day, and a new chapter started. And now we're not trying to, essentially build a company, but now we're trying to maintain a company. And now we're not trying to start a legacy, but we're trying to really grow the legacy. So it now puts a different pressure. Before we had a pressure to start, now we have a pressure kind of to maintain.
Yeah.
And now the pressure is almost to grow. But I would say that's the greatest, professional accomplishment that I've had.
Man, let me say a little bit about you and how because you've talked a lot today about your commitment to serving the community, to doing all those things, and people might hear it and be like, oh, well, there's a little bit of a pitch or whatever. It's not, bro. And you proved that to me. I texted you, or I think I DM'd you. You kept saying I was like your side chick because we were always DMing each other. But I DM'd you about something about my play. And I said, dude, I need help with, I think it was like the stage, and we were building out where people were going to sit. And, man, you were actually at Disney with your family, which again is a testament to, that means a lot to me, man. I have kids of my own, and I understand, like, when I'm at Disney, I don't want to talk to anybody, and so I immediately was kind of embarrassed that I was hitting you up at that moment. I didn't know you were there. But then you were like, anything you need, I'm in. You didn't even ask me any more questions about exactly what I was asking for or what I was needing. You show up at the museum, you go through, I tell you, hey man, this is the situation we're in. You see it all, and dude, you were just no questions asked. You completely took the leap. There's a lot of people that talk about helping, family, friends that maybe I was maybe more close to at the time, people that are more attached to the cause, the Cuban cause. Oh, because my grandfather, or I was one of. Nobody put down bread. Nobody, yeah. nobody at all. And you did, man. And not just that, but you were, everything you've talked about today, you showed it. In that situation, you made sure that things got there on time. If they didn't, you worried about it more than me. These are all things that I know for a fact, as a testament to what we went through with that project, that's something that you do for real in real life. And you didn't have to do that for me, man. And I thank you and I love you for that, dude. And that's why, for anything you ever need, hopefully my career continues to rise and we could do a commercial where you put my face in the front and I won't charge you anything because I love you, man. And yeah, well, I just wanted to say that, man.
I have a lot of respect for you as a person because, we grew up playing baseball together. We went to high school together. And then I went on this path of, studying and staying in Miami.
Yeah.
And then a few years later, I found out that, you're sleeping on an air mattress in New York. And, I doubted you for at that point. I thought you were going crazy, and maybe you were going crazy. But at that point, and we weren't even really talking, but I didn't support you at that moment. And I've come to realize a lot of things in the last 8 to 10 years that we need to support the people who really grind. There's a lot of people who don't deserve it, but there's a lot of people who do deserve it. And some people just need they just need help, bro. They just need that one opportunity. And the reality is that I didn't do that for any other reason than I want you personally. I want your family and your kids. I want you guys to succeed. I want the best for you. I want, when you told me, hey, I'm having an audition on Thursday, pray for me. That burden is on me. We have people even with Ron, and there's so many people in my life, I want people to succeed, Sometimes you just feel like you might not have it, And I was talking to somebody yesterday, and they're saying, hey, I'm thinking about starting a company, but I don't know. And I'm like, but what don't you know? If it's something that you want to do and it's something that you think you should go for, then just do it, bro. And whatever I can do, I'll help you. But you need to be able to, reciprocate that. And you have, bro. You've in your space of being creative as an actor, you're on HBO now, you're on Stars now, hopefully now soon to be Netflix. You did this play. I'm very proud of who you are and what you're doing, and I don't want to be the reason that you don't succeed. And you're gonna make it. I think you've already kind of made it, but you haven't made it in the way that I know you can. And it's just a matter of putting our heads together and just supporting each other, because there's enough people against us.
Yeah, man. I love you, bro. And I can't wait to see where this company goes. I know it's gonna rise right to the top, man. So
Well, we appreciate it. We're very thankful for the opportunity, and that's the reason why we're doing this podcast. It's just so people can know more about who we are, the things we do, and the things we care about. And we're normal people, but we're also kind of not normal people. We're in this city where people show up late and people don't do what they say. We're the opposite of that. We really love what we do. We love our clients. We take pride in our work. We take pride in our jobs, and we're not going anywhere. Like, we are a force to be reckoned with. We will make it to where we need to be, and it's going to be because of the support of so many people that are behind us. And I know that through this podcast, people are going to realize that these are just a young group of people that just hustle every day. Nothing was ever given to them. Nothing here was handed to them, and they just grind. And I hope that that we can be an inspiration to somebody out there, and also to tell our story. I think our story is what God has done in our life is incredible, and it's worth documenting. So, but that's it. This is the first episode of the Who's John series, and next Saturday, we're going to have my wife on the show, and we're going to talk about a little bit more details about when we were starting and how that affected our relationship, how that affected, our life, our marriage. At one point, we even had to move out of our house and live with other people to be able to make it, to get to this far. So stay around, subscribe, follow, share, continue to support us. And we're going to have incredible guests throughout the rest of the episodes. We have people that are in our community making impact. We have clients coming, people who really, really have made a huge difference in our community here at John Bell. So we're happy to have them, and we're happy to have you along this journey with us.